What's up, YouTube fans? Today, we're going to take a look at the best and most disappointing Masterpiece Scale Transformers of 2024. And you'll have to excuse my voice, I'm a little bit under the weather. I actually intended to put a video out before the end of the year, but this will be the last video putting out on New Year's. So, before we get started, a couple of rules about this. These have to be figures that I looked at in the year. And I did look at a lot of stuff this year. I looked over 300 figures. Legends, Masterpiece, action figures, model kits, customs. So there is a lot in there. And I did look at the vast majority of Masterpiece figures. But if I didn't look at it, it's not going to be included here. Second rule is it had to have made my scoring list. So if it's in the best, it is one of the figures that got a 4 or a 5. If it's one of the worst, it had to have gotten a 3, 2, or 1. And there were figures that got a 1 this year. And obviously this will be more subjective based on my opinion. And I'm going to explain why things are the way they are. But most disappointing in this case means things that didn't meet my expectation or just didn't really perform the way I was expecting. Whereas best are things that really surprised me or really fit my collection and made me happy. So with that being said, let's get started. We'll start off with the most disappointing for 2024. Coming in at number 5 is the KFC Grand Raijin Combined Mode, or their version of a Super Jinrai. Now this one's tricky because the individual robot and alt mode were pretty darn good. I almost put it in the top figures, but when combined, it was definitely not up to snuff. It really just didn't go together well. The panel on the top had issues. The joints, especially in the knees, were just strong enough to hold the weight. I'm not really sure what they're going to do when they add the God Jinrai figure. It's going to have a lot of issues. It was really a promising figure, but that's why this is number 5, most disappointing. Coming in at number 4 is the x-transbots Ratliff and Ron, which are the same mold, or their versions of Ratchet and Ironhide. Now these figures had, again, a lot of promise, and they did beat Fans Toys to the punch here, but just too many fit and finish issues, and issues with the ab crunch, issues with transformation. The chest piece really just didn't come out looking right. They really could have done that better, so that's why it comes in as number 4. Coming in at number 3, most disappointing, is the Takara Tomy MPG Cayenne and the Combiner Raiden. Now, this thing was one of the most expensive things I bought this year, as far as a combiner or as far as figures as a whole. And the Cayenne figure was just too small. It doesn't fit at all with Masterpiece Scale. Despite what people told me, it just doesn't fit. But I always thought maybe when it goes together as a combiner, that's where the reward is going to be. And unfortunately, it wasn't. The combiner just didn't work. It didn't hold together well. The joints didn't hold the weight. You really needed to put the figure on the stand for it to stand up because it just couldn't hold the weight. And as being one of the most expensive figures coming from Takara, it really needed to perform. And that's why this is number 3, most disappointing. Coming in at number 2, most disappointing for the year, is the x-transbots Fury, or their version of Runabout. And I want to be clear, I'm not talking about the Run Amok figure, the white one, just the black one. And this is a personal favorite of mine, this character. So I was really looking forward to this, and I was very happy with the first figure. But the second figure had all sorts of issues. It had a hole in the windshield, it had issues with the ankle. There was a piece during transformation that actually broke on me. Just due to being over tight. The hip rotation didn't work, and being one of my favorite characters, the only figure I had as a child, that's why it became most disappointing for me in number 2. And coming in at the number 1 most disappointing figure is one that probably people didn't get, is the DB01 Dinosaur Warrior, or their version of a Transmetal Dinobot 2. Now this was the second version of a Transmetal Dinobot. We also got one from Transart, and that one was really well done. This one, while it looked great, was an absolute disaster in the QC department. It really just didn't work. Transformation was a nightmare. Parts didn't hold together. Things fell off the figure. I don't know why they even bothered. They should have just let Transart have it. But that's why this number 1 most disappointing for 2024. Now let's take a look at the best for 2024, and we'll start off with Fans Toys Marg coming in at number 5. Now this figure is a bit of a surprise because whenever you do a Ultra Magnus with the armor gimmick, it usually ends up looking bulky and not proportioned well. This one really looks good. Very svelte, very athletic proportions in combined mode. And then it does transform. The transformation is quite lengthy. It's a very long transformation, but it works. It looks good in combined mode. It looks good in vehicle mode. I do like the look of the core robot mode. You get an extra mode out of it. I do think that's novel, and that's why I put this at number 5 for the year. Coming in at number 4 best for the year is the Ocular Max Incertus, or their version of Groove. Now this thing really surprised me. I was not expecting to enjoy this figure. The transformation is really fun. It really looks good in the motorcycle mode. And Groove is kind of a wacky character. He isn't really cool, but they made him cool here. And the engineering transformation really is fun. All 3 modes, they did a great job. So that's why this comes at number 4 best for the year. Coming in at number 3 best for the year is the Fans Toys Ethereum, or their version of Superion. And I'm not talking about any particular individual figure. They're all pretty average, actually. But the combiner was really quite impressive. The way it went together, really solid joints, really solid connectors, really nice accessories. I love the option to switch him from the cartoon look to the toy look. Really premium feeling too, really posable. Lots of nice features. The flight stand mode didn't really work out, but the combiner itself worked out great, and that's why this comes in at number 3 for the year. Coming in at number 2 best for the year is the Ocular Max Ignis, or their version of Hotspot. And this is one of only 2 figures to score a 5 in my personal scoring for their recommendation. It is a really well done figure. It's not covered in paint, but it does have some. But just the way they did it, the articulation, the transformation, the engineering, the fact that it's a combiner, all of the features it has, all of the functionality, it really works well. That's why this is number 2. And coming in at number 1 best for the year is the Magic Square Heavy Gunner, or their version of Brawl. Now this really kind of surprised me. We weren't expecting them to come out with the guns blazing, fully painted figure, super articulated, fun transformation, really good looking all 3 modes. And it's not just an upscaled versions of the Legends. That's what I think was a surprise. They really went in and redesigned, added hardware, added parts for transformation, gave it full paint, which you didn't get in the Legend scale, and making this into a premium figure. It really has promise that Magic Square could be one of the big companies in 2025, and I'm looking forward to see what they do in the Masterpiece scale. Alright, and there you have it, my best and most disappointing Masterpiece scale figures for 2024. And man, we got a lot of stuff. What a time to be a Masterpiece scale collector. And I'm excited to see what third party does in 2025. Now, it is a little bittersweet for me, the end of the MP line. You know, my channel is TM Reviews, Transformers Masterpiece Reviews. It's a play on words, but it is a bittersweet moment for me to end the MP line on MP60, their Masterpiece Super Jinrai, and transitioning over the MPG line. We're not really clear what the MPG line is going to be at this moment. They haven't really divulged that, but it does look like they're trying to scale it more with the Chug collection, which kind of makes sense, but for me, it's a little bit of a disappointment. Now, taking a look at the figure counts, just new figures put out in 2024, not counting repaints, retools. Fans Toys is still up there with the prolific 7 figures, new figures this year. X-transbots right next to them with 6. Takara, 4, scaling back. Vans Hobby, Transart, Ocular Max. I really hope Ocular Max does a lot more in 2025. Great company. I just need to scale up production there. And then Magic Square, again, hoping to see some great things from them next year. But that's really it for today. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the content this year. It was really quite exciting to see all the stuff coming out. I hope to make a video for the Legends figures as well, so stay tuned for that. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.